welcome to Yoga Kirtan Hawaii's Yoga Wisdom class, or Bhagavad-gita class tonight. And so you're going to test it, right?
Yes.
So I'm your host tonight. My name is Bhagavad Das, and you can find Yoga Kirtan Hawaii at yogahawaiikirtan.com, and obviously on Facebook and Instagram. Yoga Kirtan Hawaii is based on Oahu, Hawaii, and we offer programs, classes and events, including hatha yoga classes, kirtan, meditation classes, and in happier times we used to offer vegan dinners at the hub in Kaka'ako, and hopefully sometime next year we can restart those. So all the events that Yoga Kirtan Hawaii does are free or donation based, and we're currently holding regular events on Facebook Live, and you can visit the Facebook page for a calendar of events and more information about the different programs. So Yoga Kirtan Hawaii is an outreach arm of an organization, a non-profit organization called the Science of Identity Foundation. And the Science of Identity Foundation was founded by my spiritual teacher, Jagatguru Siddhasarupananda Paramahansa, who's a disciple of His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. And they're coming in a long line of spiritual teachers. And this line of spiritual teachers is known as the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. Sampradaya is a lineage or tradition. And so tonight's program, we're going to be starting with some Kirtan, and then I'll give a short introduction to the Bhagavad-gita, and then I'll speak on some verses from Bhagavad-gita. And so the whole program will go for about an hour, so we should be finished by 8 p.m. Hawaii time. And we're going to start off by doing some Kirtan. So Kirtan is the chanting of transcendental sound vibrations or mantras. Mantra is a Sanskrit word comprised of two syllables, man and tra. Man refers to the manas, or the mind, and tra means to draw away. So a mantra draws the mind away from the material dimension and takes it to the spiritual dimension. So a mantra itself is either the names of the Supreme Person, words spoken by Him or about Him. And so these transcendental sound vibrations, these mantras or sacred sounds, they actually emanate from the anti-material or the spiritual world or dimension. And they're like a lifeline to us here in the material world. And we can actually, in a sense, grab hold of this lifeline or these transcendental sound vibrations and mantras, and they can actually transport us from this material world to the spiritual world. And the spiritual world is known as Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha means the place of no anxiety. So, chanting or saying these mantras is extremely beneficial. So we're going to be chanting the mantra Gopala, Govinda, Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala, Govinda, Rama, Madana Mohana. And so the mantras are sung in a call and response way. So a person leads, and then we all follow. And so, we listen as the other person says the mantra or chants the mantra, and then we repeat it out loud, and the leader also can listen. So my wife Radhisham Dasi will lead, and I'll follow, and you can join in with me. as I follow along. And so at this time of anxiety due to the virus and so on, I really encourage everyone to take shelter in this mantra, Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana. So take it in through your mind and into your heart, and focus your mind and heart upon the mantra, rest in it. And so if your mind begins to wander, just bring it back to the sound of the mantra. And we'll just be coming, Radhi Sham. Just get my wife to come, and we'll just do the Kirtan for about 15 minutes, after which I'll speak on Bhagavad-gita.
Good evening, everybody. Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama Madana. Sing it twice. Gopala Govinda Rama Madana.
So now we're moving to the Bhagavad-gita class, or the yoga wisdom portion of our program tonight. And so before I speak on Bhagavad-gita, first I would like to offer my respects unto my spiritual teacher, my spiritual master, Jagatguru Siddhasarupananda Paramahansa, who has taught me yoga wisdom and the true meaning and purport of Bhagavad-gita. And I'd also like to offer my respects to all of you. Thank you for coming and participating in our program tonight. Thank you. So, Bhagavad-gita. So, by way of introduction to Bhagavad-gita, so Srimad Bhagavad-gita. Srimad means beautiful. Bhagavad refers to Bhagavan. Bhagavan means the Supreme Person, or the person who is full ban of all opulences, Bhaga. So the Supreme Person is the most beautiful, the most wise, the richest, the strongest, most famous, and also the most renowned. So it has each of these 6 qualities in full. Others of us may have some of these qualities, but only in minute measure. And Gita means song or hymn. So Srimad Bhagavad-gita means the beautiful song or hymn of the Supreme Person. So this Bhagavad-gita is a yoga text. It's forming part of the Vedic literature of ancient India. Veda means knowledge, and there's originally one Veda. This was divided into 4, and then other literatures written in pursuance of these Vedas are known as Vedic, so Vedic literatures. And Bhagavad-gita is part of a much larger text, or a larger book known as the Mahabharata, or the story of Greater India, and which is a history, or it's known as an itihasa. It's a kind of Vedic literature known as a history or itihasa, and it's actually comprised of 100,000 verses. So an immense work, much longer than the Greek classics, the Iliad and the Odyssey, combined together times 4 is like the size of the Mahabharata. And so the Bhagavad-gita is comprised of 700 verses, 574 of which are spoken by Bhagavan, or Sri Krishna, who is the primary speaker of the Bhagavad-gita. And so the Mahabharata is the story of a dynastic struggle between, on 2 sides of a family or a dynasty. And on one side of the family there is the Kurus, headed by Duryodhana, and he has a large number of brothers. And they're trying to usurp the kingdom from the rightful heir, Maharaj Yudhisthira, and his brothers, the Pandavas. And even though Maharaj Yudhisthira was the rightful heir, they'd come to some agreement over time that they could divide the kingdom in 2. But Duryodhana didn't want to do it, changed his mind, didn't want to do this, as he wanted to, exploit the kingdom for his own purposes, for his own material benefit. He has the mentality of wanting to exploit the kingdom for his own pleasure. Whereas Maharaj Yudhisthira, he's seeing his role as being to rule the kingdom for the benefit of its inhabitants. So it's completely different mindset. Sometimes it's described as good versus evil, as many of the Vedic classics are. The Ramayana and the Mahabharata are essentially descriptions of the forces of good versus the forces of evil. And so at this domestic struggle that takes place over a great long period of time, over many decades, finally comes to a head, and there's at the battlefield of Kurukshetra, which is in North India, north of New Delhi. And you can go there today and see the site where Bhagavad-gita was actually spoken. And interestingly, the actual date of the Bhagavad-gita being spoken is known. And actually this year, Gita Jayanti, or the appearance of Bhagavad-gita, is celebrated on December 25th, which of course is also Lord Jesus' appearance day. So anyway, so there's been this long struggle between the two sides of the family, and finally it's all coming to a head, and it's going to take place at the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And in this battle, Arjuna, one of the brothers of Maharaj Yudhisthira, is a fantastic warrior, great abilities, fantastic archer, and he's a great leader of men, a general, a hero, great determination and ability. And he kind of makes the battle, the two sides, the two armies, equal, because actually the side of Duryodhana has 11 what are called Akshauhini divisions, so whereas the Pandavas only have 8. So Duryodhana has much more, a bigger army. And what's equaling it out to make it a fair fight is actually the ability of Arjuna, the younger brother of Maharaj Yudhisthira. And Krishna, who is Arjuna's brother-in-law and cousin and friend, has actually become Arjuna's chariot driver. And so Krishna is driving Arjuna around. Krishna didn't participate directly in the war, but he did agree to act as Arjuna's charioteer. So at the beginning of this battle of Kurukshetra, before the battle actually starts, Arjuna asked Krishna to take him out into the center of the battlefield so that he could view who was here to fight, who he was going to have to contend with in this great battle of arms. And so Krishna, takes Arjuna out into the middle of the battlefield, and Arjuna can then see assembled on the opposing side, all the generals and so on who are on the opposing side, and he can also, of course, see who's there on his own side. But anyway, so looking at the opposing side, he sees his beloved grandfather, Bhishma Dev, and he sees his military teacher, Drona Acharya, and he sees his cousin brothers, Duryodhana and his younger brothers, and he sees, all kinds of family members and relatives and friends on the opposing side. And Arjuna becomes overwhelmed with grief, and his mouth dries up, his skin begins to burn, his body starts quivering, his limbs are quivering, and then his body starts shaking, his mind is reeling. He just becomes overwhelmed and decides he doesn't want to fight, that he doesn't want to go through with it. And he gives to Krishna a number of, quite good sounding reasons as to why he doesn't want to fight. He essentially becomes a pacifist. He doesn't want to fight. He's a warrior, and yet here he is on the battlefield saying he doesn't want to fight. And this, of course, is of great concern to his brothers and all the soldiers on his side, that oh my God, Arjuna's not going to fight. And so anyway, so Arjuna gives Krishna all kinds of good reasons why he doesn't want to fight, that it's sinful, that it's bad for families, it's bad for the community, there'll be lots of widows, then there'll be unwanted children as these widows are taken advantage of, and and so on and so forth. Many kinds of good reasons. And then he's essentially Arjuna has a nervous breakdown. He just becomes overcome. He doesn't, he knows that he has to fight, but he's wanting not to fight. And then he even says, look, he would just rather be killed on the battlefield rather than engage in this war. And he even begins to talk about, essentially becoming a mendicant, a renunciate, to renounce everything and basically leave the battlefield and become a monk or something. This is essentially what Arjuna begins saying. And so at a certain point, Arjuna is, in such a conundrum where he has his duty to perform, but he's not wanting to do it. And so eventually he turns to Bhagavan Sri Krishna, who's acting as his chariot driver, and asks him to please instruct me, to please tell me what is best for me. I'm confused about my duty. This is chapter 2, text 7. Arjuna says, I'm confused about my duty. I don't know what I should do. Please tell me what is the best thing. Please tell me confidently. Akshaya Shan Nishitan Bruhitan Me. Please tell me confidently what I should do in this situation. And then Sishyaste Aham Sharimam Tvam Prapanam, that I'm a soul surrendered to you. Please instruct me. And so this is like the big turning point in Bhagavad-gita, where now Arjuna up to this point has been expressing himself and all his thoughts and feelings and emotions and his opinions on why he shouldn't fight. And he's not, up to this point, asked Krishna anything. But finally he gets to the point where he's kind of said it all out, coming to the point where he realizes he doesn't know what he should do. So he turns to Krishna to ask him to tell me definitively what is Shreyas, what is most auspicious, what should I do here in this situation. So essentially, as all spiritual aspirants need to do, they come to the point where they realize, well, I don't really know anything. I don't know what to do. So we become an empty cup. So instead of being a full cup full of opinions and thinking we know what is right and what I should do, come to the point of surrender, of realizing, well, I don't know what to do, and then turning to a spiritual authority. In this case, Arjuna is turning to the Supreme Person himself, Krishna, Bhagavan, and asking him to please tell me what I should do. And so now at this point, then Krishna is able to educate Arjuna as to what he should do. And this then is the conversation of Bhagavad-gita, Srimad Bhagavad-gita, the beautiful song of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So how Krishna begins his discussion with Arjuna is he begins the very first basic thing that Krishna explains to Arjuna in a series of verses in the second chapter of Bhagavad-gita from text 11 through text 30. Krishna explains to Arjuna that actually you're not the body, that no one here is the body, that you are actually spiritual in essence, that you are not this material body. You're not the gross physical body that's comprised of limbs and internal organs and this gross physical body in some ways is like a the skin is like a leather bag, and inside this leather bag is all kinds of unmentionable substances. And this material body, this gross physical body, is temporary. It only exists for a certain number of years, and then it no longer exists. It dies. So it's temporary. It's very temporary. But Krishna explains to Arjuna that the body is known as the deha, and the dehi is the inhabitant of the body. So the embodied soul, or the embodied person, is actually embodied within this deha, or gross physical body, and also the subtle material body, the mind, or the manas. The manas is the stream of material thoughts, emotions, feelings, and memories. This is the material mind. And then there is the intelligence, which is the analytical ability, and also what's known as ahankara, or the false ego, this identification that I am this body, this feeling that I am material, and also the feeling that I am the doer, that I, the body, am the doer. Whereas really, we're embodied in this body, and we are spiritual in essence. And so actually the spirit soul, you, actually doesn't do anything. You are just within this body. So anyway, Krishna explains to Arjuna that you are not this body, that the body dies, but you, the soul, don't die. And Krishna explains to Arjuna that in many different ways about the soul. And so I was going to talk on some of the ways that Krishna describes the soul. But just at the end of this sequence of verses, chapter 2, text 30, Krishna says to Arjuna, "O Arjuna, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore you need not grieve for any living being." So we, the soul, are actually eternal, that we don't die when the body dies. And so Arjuna's concern is that he's going to be having to kill his family members. But Krishna is explaining throughout this sequence of verses where Krishna establishes the spiritual ABCs, so to speak, the first fundamental principles of spiritual life, that you are spiritual, that you aren't material, and that nobody dies. You can't actually kill anyone, and no one actually dies. So you don't need to lament about this. So you should perform your duty. Arjuna is a warrior. He has a duty to perform, and he shouldn't feel that the killing of others, that he should not perform his duty because he doesn't want to kill people. Because in fact, actually, he can't kill anyone. The spirit soul cannot be slain or killed. So some of the words that Krishna uses in this sequence of verses to describe the soul, is just going to talk through them. So one word Krishna uses is sat. So within Vedic literature, within Sanskrit and the Vedas, there's this term sat, which means reality, means to exist or be lasting. Sometimes it can mean true or good or beautiful. It's the reality or the truth or permanent. So the soul is sat, eternally existing, the reality. Whereas the opposite of that is asat, which is the material body. So the material body is temporary. It only it comes into being, exists for a while, produces some byproducts, has children, dwindles, and then dies, disappears. This is the nature of the material body. So it is asat, temporary, unreal. Right? So Whereas the soul, the inhabitant of the body, is Sat, eternal. And so if you consider this idea of eternity, we all tend to think that, I'm in my body, I am this body, I'm going to live for 70, 80, perhaps 90 years, so we think like this, and we're thinking that this lifetime is very long. 90 years, 80 years, it's a long time. If you're a little kid, you sort of think, wow, time moves so slowly, I'm going to live to be so old, it's like, what a long time. But in comparison to eternity, and eternity means that there is no beginning and there is no end. It's just ever existing. So if we consider this concept of ever existing, that I never come into being, Krishna says in text 20, the soul does not come into being, has not come into being, and will not come into being at any time. So in other words, the soul is just ever existing. Another word Krishna uses is nitya. Nitya means always. So always. So the soul always exists. So this material body is temporary, and we put so much time and effort into considering what is, our life, what we're going to do while we're in this body, and we're in this body for however many years, 70, 80 years, whatever it is. And we spend all our time thinking about what we're going to do with this body. Whereas we put very little effort into thinking about our eternal life. And our eternal life is the real life. Like this 70, 80 years as a percentage of our total existence is insignificant. It's nothing. Like this time in this material body, it's in a sense it's illusory. It's unreal. I mean, it's real in that it exists, but it's unreal in the sense that it's temporary. So it's a little bit like here I live in Kailua, and if you go down to Kailua Beach, waves break, bubbles form, bubbles come into existence. They perhaps grow for a bit, and then eventually they pop. No bubbles last very long. And this is very much like our human life experience, or any life experience in any form of life. It's very temporary. It's real, but it's unreal in the sense that it's temporary. And so we should take the opportunity of the human form of life to contemplate upon the real meaning of life. What is the purpose of life? Why am I here? Why am I suffering? And seek out answers to these questions. This is the most important thing that we should be doing in the human form of life, is seeking out answers to the problems of life. We shouldn't be spending our time in short-term gain, thinking of short-term gain. So there's the story of Lord Buddha, Siddhartha, is instructive here. He was a great prince, and he, his father and mother very much wanted to protect him from the world. So he never got to see the reality of life in this material world of birth, diseases, old age, and death. He never saw this. He was sheltered within the palace. And as he grew older, he was given a beautiful wife to marry. And anyway, at a certain point, Siddhartha wanted to leave the palace. He wanted to go out and see what the world was like. And so a trusted servant took him out, without the permission of his father, and took him out. And on the first day he's out there, he sees a diseased person, with deformity. And he asks, well, what's that? What is that? So this person explains to Siddhartha, Lord Buddha, that, oh, that's a diseased person. And Siddhartha asks, well, does everyone get diseases? Can I get disease? And so the answer is yes. At some point in people's life, everyone will suffer from some disease, and many people may suffer from a serious disease. So the next day, Siddhartha goes out and he sees an old person, walking stick and barely able to walk, just sort of shuffling forward and all hunched over. And he asks, well, what's that? And the answer is given, well, that's an old person. And so Siddhartha asks, well, does everyone grow old? Will I grow old? The answer is yes. Everyone grows old. You will grow old. So then the next day goes out, and now he sees a dead person, a dead body. And then the body is taken away to be cremated. And it's like, well, what's that? Right? He's had no experience of this. He's been completely sheltered from death. And he says, well, that's death. This person has died. And then Siddhartha's question is, well, will I die? Does everyone die? And yes, everyone will die. You will die. And, so Siddhartha contemplates this reality very deeply. And then he goes back to his father and he makes the decision that he's going to leave. He's going to leave the palace, and he's going to seek out an answer to these problems of life. He's not just going to accept them, because actually he also went out one other day, and then he saw a sage, and he asked his person accompanying him, well, who's that? What's that? He says, well, that's a holy person seeking to find answers to these problems of life through processes of meditation and renunciation. And so Siddhartha goes, on returning to the palace and contemplating on this deeply, makes the decision that he also wants to find out a solution to these problems of life, of birth, diseases, old age, and death. He's seeking answers. And so, when he tells his father he's leaving, he then says to his father, like his father's trying to no, don't leave. I don't want you to leave. You have your beautiful wife, and you're going to have the kingdom, and you will be the ruler, so, don't leave. But Siddhartha says, well, when you're in a house that's on fire, you must leave. You must try to put the fire out. And so so being in this body is like being in a house on fire. It's going through birth, diseases, old age, and death, and suffering. And so we know that this is the situation. But instead of dealing with the situation, we put our mind and attention into other things, into trying to temporarily improve the situation that we have in this very short time that we have in this particular body. And so Siddhartha wanted to make a solution to these problems of life. And so we should, follow in his example, not necessarily in the particular approach that he took to make solutions to the problems of life, but we should follow in his footsteps in the sense of seeking answers to these problems of life. And so we can seek out these answers to the problems of life within the yoga texts, in particular within Bhagavad-gita, where we can learn and understand that actually we're spiritual in essence, that we are eternal. In this sequence of verses I'm speaking of, Krishna uses nitya, meaning always existing, sanatana, eternal. He uses so many different words to describe the nature of the soul, that the soul is imperishable, avyayasya, that is anasinaha, never to be destroyed. The soul is indestructible. aprameyesha, immeasurable, indefinable, that the jayate mriyate karachin, that the soul never takes birth or dies at any time. It's not born, it does not die, was not born, can never die. That it is aja, or unborn, is sashvata, permanent, ever existing, everlasting, puranaha, primeval or the oldest. Nahanyate is never killed, avinashyanam is indestructible, it's avyayam, immutable, unchangeable, imperishable, that it can never be cut into pieces by any weapons, can't be pierced by weapons, can't be divided into two or cut. The soul never burns, fire does not burn it. The soul can never be moistened, it can't be made wet or dissolved. And the wind never dries it. So the soul is unbreakable, indivisible, cannot be divided, cannot be pierced, cannot be cut into pieces. It can't be burned or destroyed by fire. It can't be dissolved or drowned by water. It's not able to be withered by the wind. The soul is all-pervading. Everywhere there is the soul. Everywhere there is life. It's omnipresent, present everywhere. It's eternally the same. It's invisible, unmanifest, transcendental. It's inconceivable. So the soul is inconceivable and unchangeable. It's not to be transformed. The soul is ever existing. So these are all different ways in which Krishna describes the soul. And so we should consider these teachings of Bhagavad-gita and apply them to our life. And so please take the opportunity to watch the different live streams that we do at Yoga Kirtan Hawaii on Yoga Wisdom 3 times a month on the first, second, and last Tuesday of the month. And then also please engage in Kirtan with us. If we, by engaging in the process of Kirtan, then this Yoga Wisdom, this transcendental knowledge or jnana, topmost knowledge, we can actually realize it. The chanting of the sacred Kirtan or sacred sounds then actually helps us to realize and appreciate these teachings of yoga wisdom, these teachings of Krishna that he's giving in the Bhagavad-gita. So anyway, so thank you very much, and we'll just have a short Kirtan now. I'll just see where my Kirtan leader is. Radhe Shyam, you coming? Maybe she isn't. So I'll just lead a short Kirtan. Namaste. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully we'll see you next time. Haribol.